All right, this is a non-sponsored review of the new Insta360 X4. I purchased this unit off of Amazon. It costs $500. And I'm just going to review this as a person that is a heavy user of action cameras. I have another channel that's all about motovlogging, and as you can imagine, action cameras is what I use to run that channel. And before this, it was the DJI Action 4. So naturally, I'm going to do a lot of comparisons between this and that device. So when it comes to this X4 in my workflow, I've still been using it primarily as a regular action camera, aka the single lens mode. So if we go into the settings here, there's two main categories, single lens and 360. And essentially whenever I can, I like to film in single lens mode because it reduces the post-production editing. Anytime you film in 360, you have to run the file through the Insta360 software, and only then you can export it to your regular editing software to do your quote-unquote regular editing. It is a hassle, that's why for the longest time I avoided 360 cameras, but when shooting in single lens mode, that's not a problem. It's just a regular action camera with a few added benefits. So in this mode, we can choose which camera lens we want to use. So right now it's pointing behind. We can rotate it to point back at me. But there's one more setting within the single lens mode, and that's the me mode. And essentially this changes the viewpoint from either in front of the camera, behind the camera, to below or above. And it does that by using half of each camera lens. And again, this is a normal video file in this configuration. So right now the camera is pointing straight down. So my hand is below the camera. You can see that's in the middle of the frame. And we can change it to above. So now it's looking directly above the camera. I have seen a misconception about this mode, the me mode. People claim that in this configuration, the camera follows you and keeps you in the middle of the frame. That's not true. Again, it just points either directly down or directly up. So on a selfie stick, a lot of times it will keep you in the center of the frame, but it doesn't actively track you. Now, if you need something more dynamic than this, so choosing the front, behind, above, below the camera isn't enough, that's when I would go into 360 mode and just capture everything. Again, the downside here is that it requires a lot of post-processing. You have to go through every second of the footage and tell the camera where to look. So for that reason, I try not to shoot primarily in this mode, but still having the ability, the option to do this does add a lot of versatility to an otherwise normal action camera. Now, up until this X4 model, the maximum resolution in 360 mode was 5.7K, which on the surface sounds impressive, but that's a 5.7K resolution on a 360-degree sphere. And as mentioned, when filming in 360, you always crop in and have just a section of that overall sphere. So that also means that you only have a fraction of the total resolution. Often after you cropped it, it equated to roughly a 1080p image. But the new X4 model can film all the way up to 8K 30 FPS. In fact, that's the setting we're in right now. Obviously, we can go down to 5.7 plus, 4K. But what I found with the 8K footage is that once you crop in and you adjust the footage to your liking, the final normal video is going to be roughly a 2K or 1440p resolution versus the 1080p of the X3. And that's quite a huge improvement, and I think the footage does look very good in solid lighting conditions because the image sensor here is unchanged from the X3. It has two 1/2-inch image sensors. And again, going back to the Action 4, that uses a 1/1.3-inch image sensor, quite a bit larger than what we have here. And if I had to guess, the X5 2 years from now is going to be 8K, but with larger image sensors. But again, if you have good lighting conditions, I think the footage and the resolution here looks really solid. A very noticeable improvement from the X3 over the past 2 years. And in case you're wondering, the single lens mode, even the me mode, goes up to regular 4K 30 FPS. Now, obviously, we do have other modes like loop recording, photo, if for some reason you want to take photos with this thing. HDR video, time-lapse is another one that I do find myself using somewhat often. But really, the three modes I find myself using the most often are regular action camera mode, the me mode, which again is a regular action camera, but shooting directly below or directly above the camera. This is extra useful when using a selfie stick. And when that's not dynamic enough, that's when I go into the 360 mode. Now, you can't talk about video without talking about audio. And here, The external audio is a step down from something like the DJI Action 4. So on the left-hand side here, we have a USB-C port. Unfortunately, when it comes to external audio, you can't just plug in a USB-C mic directly and have it work. For the X4, you need to buy this $20 proprietary adapter from Insta360. Now, that's a lot more reasonable than the $100 mic adapter you need for GoPro systems, but I really don't like how this forces you to use the legacy headphone jack for your microphones. Because my mic here uses USB-C, and most modern mics have a USB-C interface. So in order to get this mic to work with my X4, I would need to buy a USB-C to 3.5 millimeter headphone jack adapter, then plug that into the mic adapter for the X4, and then finally get audio that way. And this is completely unnecessary. The company is just doing this in order to sell you that $20 mic adapter. Again, with my previous DJI Action 4, I could just plug this directly in via Type-C and have no problem. Now, there is one other option you have for external audio, and that's Bluetooth. So this right here is the Bluetooth settings. And if you have a Bluetooth microphone or headphones that have a microphone, you can connect it via this screen. Just be aware that Bluetooth audio isn't as good as a direct hardwire microphone. It often will be better than the built-in microphones, especially if the camera is, a good distance away from you. But if you're looking for that studio quality audio, Bluetooth is not going to give it to you. So it's not a silver bullet in remedying this mic shortcoming, in my estimation, that the X4 has. So that's my non-sponsored review of the new X4 coming from a traditional action camera. I do like the extra versatility that having two lens offers here. I can still use this as a traditional action camera. I could even shoot directly below or directly above the camera, giving me more versatility. Plus then the 360 mode that captures everything, but requires a bit more post-processing. You do have to pay for that ability. This is more expensive than the DJI Action 4, but if you can utilize all of these video features, I do think it is worth it to have all this ability in one device. My biggest complaint really comes down to the external microphone issue. There's no reason why you can't directly plug in a USB-C mic to this camera. That makes my job a whole lot more difficult, and they did this just to sell mic adapters for an additional $20. So really, this thing cost $520. But regardless, I'll leave the Amazon link that I used to buy this below the video, along with that mic adapter. If you guys enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.